Airbnb is becoming a big mess. At first, Airbnb was a lucrative market. In fact, if you want to make a lot of money, you do Airbnb. Like, it's a no-brainer, it's the way it is. But now you've got places like New York City having some of the biggest crackdowns, basically just killed off the whole entire Airbnb population. And guess what? New York City Airbnb is very profitable. Many units are bought are strictly Airbnbs. And if you go to very popular places like Las Vegas, for example, even places like Vegas are receiving some of the biggest competition from their neighbors. Airbnb at first was super lucrative. If you had a property, on average, you're making $25,000 to $75,000 per year. If you have 2 to 3 properties fully paid off, you're basically making 6 figs without having to work at all. You just be like a little mini hotel kind of type of guy. So Airbnbs was super profitable, word got around, and now everyone is buying them. There's now so many price cuts, so many people panicking, and look what's going on in places like Victoria, which is in British Columbia, Canada. Yes, even the Canadians are facing the same problems as us in terms of Airbnbs flooding the market, and it's going to absolutely collapse the real estate situation. So in Victoria, former Airbnbs are flooding the market, but nobody is buying them. Dozens of former short-term rentals have gone up for sale since the Victoria Airbnb ban in October. So at first, you have a bunch of people doing Airbnbs, right? Most of the units were being bought for short-term rentals, not for long-term rentals. And of course, this city in Canada, for example, just got pretty mad. They're like, screw this. We can't have this. Residents are complaining that virtually every single home is Airbnbs, short-term rentals, Verbos, whatever. We have to put a ban on it. They put a big ban on it, and what's the point, right? A lot of these guys bought overpriced property at very high interest rates, and the only way to keep afloat is doing short-term rentals. And now they can't make money, and they don't make any money from long-term rentals because it's not as lucrative and not as profitable. A bunch of these units are flooding the market. Condos that are previously, specifically built and made for short-term rentals almost feels like a hotel are being sold. Nobody's buying them. Not a single person. Guess what? As the mortgage accumulates, as they default, the banks takes it, right? You get foreclosures are on the rise in many Canadian cities and also in many U.S. cities. The banks are going to be experiencing even more foreclosures, especially in the U.S. from short-term rentals. And it's a very scary situation to be in, considering at first, Airbnb was just such a lucrative market. It was impossible to lose money on this. But like I said, when everyone gets on it, when everyone's hopping on the bandwagon, this is what happens. You have Airbnb collapses. And you also have analysts warning that the local Airbnb collapse is going to be very, very scary in some cities. Like Austin has more rentals than homes for sale. This is not normal, right? Usually with these such scenarios, you just have a few people doing Airbnbs and everyone is happy, everyone's making money. But when people start noticing that their neighbors doing Airbnb and they're making like 2 times more money than a short-term rental for a very minimal amount of work, they start doing it as well. And this is why Airbnb is just so popular among cities. And a lot of people just don't want to stay in a hotel. They want to stay in like a suburban home when they go to the city, or a townhouse, or a very unique stay. And that's where Airbnb comes in. But then, like I said, everyone started doing it. And the pandemic really just exacerbated the whole situation because the pandemic brought about 0% interest rates. And guess what happened? 0% interest rates made everyone buy Airbnb properties. Word got around. People bought crypto. People bought stocks. People bought Airbnb properties like it was no tomorrow. People over leveraged. In fact, if you didn't over leverage during the pandemic, people thought you were crazy. You're buying a home? Why not buy 3? You're not buying 3? You must be insane. 0% interest rates. Who wouldn't take that? So that's what's going on. And now with interest rates being super high, you have vacations slowly dying down because unemployment's super high. Consumerism is actually weakening. If you look at Walmart, Best Buy, Kohl's earnings, they all say the same thing. Consumerism is going down. People are more cautious about their money. Unemployment's going up. People losing their jobs. Unemployment's 3.9, up from 3.3 just a few months ago. So when you have people with less money, will they really go to Vegas for vacation? Probably not. So this is what's happening here. And now you already have a lot of Airbnbs. They're already cutting prices to have more competition and more edge on the market because there's so many units. And the units that can't compete eventually go for sale, which nobody wants them, and then they get foreclosed. Foreclosures are on an all-time high in the U.S. in the past few years. And it's not a great news at all. San Francisco is also experiencing a massive Airbnb crisis, and now you also have specific cities where there's trillions of dollars of real estate, like San Francisco and the rest of the Bay Area. There's a lot of Airbnb units, but nobody wants them, right? Now we have some cities in the US that have a massive decline in tourism, like places like San Jose, Oakland, and especially San Francisco. Tourism is down like 30 to 40%, so kiss the Airbnb properties goodbye. Airbnb in San Francisco is so bad. People used to say they used to rent out like 27 nights out of 30 nights. Now they're renting like what? 2 to 3 nights every 30 nights. It just shows you that nobody's coming to some of these cities. And it's not just limited to the Bay Area. Several other cities and vacation hubs in the United States, big and small, are experiencing less traffic, which is causing Airbnb hosts to really panic. And then you also have this situation. New York just outright banned Airbnb. Well, not entirely. Let me tell you what's going on, because some cities are also adopting this. So New York is saying that you can operate an Airbnb, but you have to live in the unit. You could only operate Airbnb if you live in the unit and if the total amount of guests does not exceed 2 people. So basically it just knocked off like 80% of the Airbnb supply. And a lot of those Airbnbs are becoming rentals, but then when you have a sudden inflow of rentals like this, rents go down, right? Or at least rents stall. And then a lot of those guys are like, okay, this is not profitable anymore. Let's sell these units. And they're trying to sell these units in New York City, but nobody wants them. But there's so much supply in New York City that New York City condos and mini prices are actually dropping like rocks. So you have this situation. New York basically just took out Airbnb, and now you have several other cities, especially left-leaning cities, that are thinking about doing this. Like Seattle's thinking about doing this. You have places like Toronto, Vancouver over in Canada is thinking about doing this. And as more cities do this, right, or put some limitations on Airbnb, short-term rentals are just no longer popular. And already Airbnbs are going for closure and going for sale, and now you have cities doing this. It's just a double whammy, and it's going to cause the Airbnb situation to get even worse. If you look at some of the hosts on Reddit, they're saying that they wouldn't buy another property, and they're very much considering selling the 2 that they have. Bookings aren't great anymore. They're half to low prices. There's just oversupply everywhere. And dealing with guests is a massive headache. And it's no longer worth it anymore. Airbnbs used to be a lucrative market. And in fact, if you own an Airbnb or 2, you were making dough every single day. It was super easy to rent things out. And like anything that's super lucrative, after a couple years when everyone is starting to do it, well, you just have too much competition. And even in very popular places like Vegas, you already have some of the biggest price cuts. 118 down to 100, 177 down to 131, 109 down to 85. A lot of these prices are dropping rapidly, and it's actually scary to see this for some of the Airbnb guys. If you're an Airbnb host, comment below, are you experiencing less rentals? Because many of these cities and a lot of people I talk to and look at on social media and different forums are all saying that Airbnb is just a more tougher market now. And many of the units who, at first, before the pandemic, like a few years ago, started Airbnbs, are now selling their properties because they simply just can't make any money. So thanks for watching, guys. Comment below, subscribe, and see you later.